A shocking decision has rocked British politics and sent the Prime Minister into a fury. West Midlands Police have banned fans of Israeli football club Maccabi Tel Aviv from attending their Europa League match against Aston Villa next month, sparking an unprecedented political crisis that's exposing deep fractures in Britain's approach to security and anti-Semitism. This isn't just any ordinary policing decision. The ban affects a match scheduled for November 6th at Villa Park in Birmingham, and it's the first time in English football history that away fans have been completely prohibited from attending a match for safety reasons. The implications are staggering, and the political fallout has been immediate and brutal. Prime Minister Keir Starmer didn't mince words when he condemned the decision. In a post that sent shockwaves through the political establishment, he declared this was the wrong decision and made it crystal clear that we will not tolerate anti-Semitism on our streets. But his fury didn't stop there. Starmer emphasized that the role of the police is to ensure all football fans can enjoy the game without fear of violence or intimidation. The timing couldn't be more explosive. Just hours before condemning this ban, Starmer had been at the Community Security Trust announcing new measures to stamp out anti-Semitism, including an NHS review. The irony was lost on no one that while he was promising to protect Jewish communities, police forces under his government were simultaneously banning Israeli fans from attending a football match. The political earthquake was just beginning.
There was not, and it doesn't matter how many times the honourable members allege it, that is the case.
Richard Tice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Amongst all the noise of this China spy scandal, my constituents in Boston and Skegness, and I think the whole British people, want some clarity from this government. Does the government view China as a national security threat? Yes or no?
The evidence throughout sets out the threats China poses multiple times. There is complete consistency between the two. Obviously, there are very serious threats. I read them out in my statements. Yes.
Dr. Andrew.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Deputy National Security Advisor in his evidence is clear. China is the greatest state economic threat to the UK. Does the Minister agree with that? And is he seriously trying to suggest that the Deputy National Security Advisor, given what he has said in his evidence, didn't clear what he was doing with the CPS, with his superiors, Jonathan Powell, or ministers?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, and the Prime Minister said yesterday, and the Security Minister said on Monday.
Claire Young.
Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch didn't hold back, branding the decision a national disgrace and directly challenging Starmer's leadership. In a scathing post on social media, she demanded that the Prime Minister guarantee that Jewish fans can walk into any football stadium in this country. This wasn't just criticism, it was a direct challenge to Starmer's authority and his government's commitment to fighting anti-Semitism. The decision itself came from Birmingham's Safety Advisory Group, the body responsible for issuing safety certificates for matches. But it was West Midlands Police who provided the intelligence assessment that classified this fixture as high risk. Their justification? They pointed to current intelligence and previous incidents, including violent clashes and hate crime offenses that occurred during the 2024 UEFA Europa League match between Ajax and Maccabi Tel Aviv in Amsterdam. That Amsterdam incident has become the centerpiece of this controversy. In November 2024, when Maccabi Tel Aviv played Ajax, there were indeed violent clashes that saw Dutch police arrest more than 60 people. But the narrative around those events has been hotly contested, with different sides presenting vastly different accounts of who was responsible for the violence. What makes this situation even more politically toxic is the response from within Starmer's own political sphere. The independent MP for Birmingham Perry Barr, Ayub Khan, who had actually campaigned for the match to be cancelled, welcomed the decision. Khan argued that from the moment that the match was announced, it was clear that there were latent safety risks that even our capable security and police authorities would not be able to fully manage. This created an impossible political position for Starmer. On one side, he had local political figures arguing the ban was necessary for public safety. On the other, he faced accusations of anti-Semitism and demands that his government intervene to protect Jewish fans. The Prime Minister found himself caught between competing narratives about security, discrimination, and political responsibility. The international dimension added another layer of complexity.
No, she's not. I mean, the IMF have just said that we are going to have the highest inflation in the G7. We can see that unemployment is going up. And none of this stuff is an accident, right? Rachel Reeves said she spends 9.5 billion before the election. She ended up spending 10 times that after the election. So she's spent 10 times more than she said she would. As a result, she's raised taxes and she's increased borrowing. And the combination of higher spending, higher taxes and higher borrowing is causing the economy to stagnate. And that in turn leads to higher borrowing. So we end up in a vicious circle where borrowing goes up, she taxes even more, that makes borrowing go up, she taxes even more. And remember, after her last massive tax increasing budget, she said, I'm not coming back with any more tax rises. And here she is, coming back with even more tax rises. And I just think until we do what the Conservatives say and actually start to control public spending and let people keep more of their own money, the economy will stagnate and we'll just go round and round in this vicious circle.
Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Saar called the decision shameful and urged British officials to reverse it. This wasn't just a domestic political crisis, it was becoming a diplomatic incident that threatened to damage Britain's relationship with Israel. Liberal Democrat leader Sir Ed Davey piled on the pressure, calling it a serious mistake, and arguing that you don't tackle antisemitism by banning its victims. His demand that this decision must be reversed added to the chorus of political voices challenging the police assessment. Perhaps most damaging was the intervention of Baroness Luciana Berger, a former Labour MP who had quit the party in 2019 over its handling of anti-Semitism allegations before rejoining in 2023. Her criticism carried particular weight given her history with Labour's anti-Semitism problems. Berger suggested that Birmingham's ability to host forthcoming major international events should be reviewed if police and council authorities couldn't guarantee safety for a single football match. Behind the scenes, the government machinery was working overtime to find a solution. Culture Minister Ian Murray announced that senior government figures would meet to discuss a way through the ban. The Prime Minister's spokesman, Geraint Ellis, revealed that the Prime Minister has been angered by the decision, and that the government was working urgently to overturn it. The pressure wasn't just coming from politicians. Simon Foster, the West Midlands Police and Crime Commissioner, called for an immediate review of the decision. Local Mayor Richard Parker urged authorities to find a workable solution that might involve the government covering additional policing costs. Even UEFA, European football's governing body, weighed in, urging British authorities to ensure Israeli fans could attend the match. But West Midlands Police weren't backing down. In a statement that seemed to directly challenge the Prime Minister's criticism, they said they were standing firm on their decision and would not be responding to political pressure. A spokesperson emphasized that they were committed to delivering fair and impartial policing while balancing the public's right to protest with our duty to ensure public safety. This defiance created an unprecedented constitutional crisis. Here was a police force effectively telling the Prime Minister that his criticism was irrelevant and that they would maintain their position regardless of political pressure. The implications for police independence versus political accountability were profound. The Jewish Leadership Council, which works to protect British Jews, didn't hold back in their criticism. They called it perverse that away fans should be banned from a football match because West Midlands Police can't guarantee their safety. Their suggestion that Aston Villa should face the consequences of this decision and the match should be played behind closed doors added another dimension to the crisis. What made this situation particularly explosive was the broader context of rising anti-Semitism in Britain. Various sporting events had already seen protests over the war in Gaza, including when Israel's national team played Norway and Italy in recent World Cup qualifiers. The decision seemed to suggest that rather than protecting Jewish fans from potential anti-Semitic abuse, authorities were instead choosing to exclude them entirely. The precedent this set was deeply concerning to many observers. If police could ban away fans based on intelligence assessments about potential protests, what would stop them from making similar decisions in the future? The Football Supporters Europe organization warned that such away travel bans create additional risk by not offering a controlled and secured environment inside the stadium. Maccabi Tel Aviv's chief executive, Jack Angelides, expressed dismay about what this potentially is signaling. His concerns weren't just about this single match, but about what this decision meant for the future of Jewish participation in European football. The club had traveled to places like Turkey, where sentiment toward Israeli teams wasn't particularly friendly, but had managed to play matches safely with proper police protection. The timing of this crisis couldn't have been worse for Starmer's government. Just as they were trying to establish their credentials on fighting antisemitism, they found themselves accused of enabling it through police decisions. The Prime Minister's anger was reportedly genuine, but it raised questions about his government's ability to control the narrative around such sensitive issues. As pressure mounted throughout Friday, it became clear that this wasn't just about one football match. This was about fundamental questions of how Britain handles security concerns, protects minority communities, and manages the complex intersection of politics, religion, and sport in an increasingly polarized world. The government's desperate attempts to find a solution revealed the depth of the political crisis this decision had created. With ministers meeting urgently and the Prime Minister's office working to overturn the ban, it was clear that Starmer recognized the enormous political damage this controversy could inflict on his administration. But the damage was already done. The image of British police banning Jewish fans from a football match while the Prime Minister raged helplessly from the sidelines was not one that would be easily forgotten. Whether the government could successfully reverse this decision or not, the precedent had been set, and the political fallout would likely continue for months to come. This crisis exposed the fundamental tensions in modern Britain between security concerns, minority rights, and political accountability. As the November 6th match date approached, all eyes would be on whether Starmer's government could deliver on its promise to protect Jewish communities, or whether this controversy would become another defining moment of political failure for his administration.